This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 15 in the National Football League. New England Patriots, Pittsburgh Steelers, two best teams arguably in football, the two best teams in the AFC. Doesn't get much better than this. I want to start by saying, one, this was a great football game. This was a great football game. Two, this was total and utter bullshit. Three, it's games like this why you either love the NFL, hate the NFL, or are indifferent about the NFL. A lot of us have a love-hate relationship. I love the NFL. I'll never hate the NFL. But a lot of you have a love-hate relationship with the NFL. Sometimes you love the NFL. Sometimes you don't love the NFL. Sometimes you love the product. Sometimes you abhor the product. This was one of the few times, and we knew what this was going to be. We knew this was an epic football game. We've been talking about it for 3 weeks. We circled it on the calendar way back when. It finally got here, and we knew it was going to be a big game. And we knew it was going to have huge playoff ramifications. And both teams played as if this game had huge playoff ramifications. As if this game had a lot riding on it. Like, say, number one seed and home field advantage throughout riding on it. And thus, you got some of the best in the game performing at their best. It's a shame that Antonio Brown goes down in this game. Luckily enough for the Steelers, it's being reported that there's a torn calf muscle, that he'll be back by the time they make the postseason. So now it's even more imperative. If you're the Steelers, you've got even more incentive to not only win this particular game, but you need a first-round bye. Not because you want it, because you need it. You can't afford to go into the first weekend of playoff football without Antonio Brown. You might be able to get by without him, but you damn sure don't want to find out. You give him that extra week, and you're talking a month. So the next 2 weeks, the first week of the playoffs, and then another week to prepare. And I'd say a month of time. And look, you hear torn anything, and I'm thinking it's going to take quite a bit of time. I've already heard that he should be back for the playoffs. So I don't know if it's a partial tear or a torn calf muscle isn't that serious. I don't know what the extent of it is or how that heals. But they make it seem as if, yeah, give him a month and he'll be fine. Okay, I'll ride with that. But if that's the case, you need home field advantage. If you don't get it, at least get the first round bye. Right? Right. So this game became even bigger the minute Antonio Brown went down with injury. So you got the best of the best performing at the highest level. Tom Brady was outstanding in this game. Did have an interception, but he was outstanding. Ben Roethlisberger, outstanding in this game. Did have an interception late, a crucial one, but he was outstanding in this game. Juju Smith-Schuster, big play. Almost set his team up to win the game. Le'Veon Bell was Le'Veon Bell. He was outstanding in this game. Tom Brady, terrific, as always, as we come to expect from the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Rob Gronkowski missed the game last week. We asked, how big of an impact does he have? And we know the answer to this. I hate when we ask questions we already know the answer to. We knew the answer to that, but just in case someone was doubting, man, he was monstrous in the second half of this game. Arguably the biggest player for the Patriots in the second half of this game. And then I thought they didn't run it enough. Dion Lewis was having himself a ball game, and we knew that you could run on the Steelers. We saw the Ravens do it last week, And it was wet, it was nasty, it was rain. This game had everything. Had the elements, had great plays, had great players, had controversy, had everything. Late game heroics, late game dramatics, late game disappointments from the league. It had everything. And then it had total bullshit at the end, which is where I want to start. And we're going to talk about this game, and then we're going to talk about both teams, the ramifications and the fallout from this loss, and the what this means for the Patriots because of the win. All of those good things. We're going to get to everything. But let's first start with the call at the end of the game. Because, first of all, let me say this. That call didn't lose the Steelers this game. Let's be clear on that. That wasn't a fourth down play. They didn't turn the ball over on downs after that call. That was a first down play. They then proceeded to throw the football inbounds, which Ben should know better. With no timeouts, don't throw the football inbounds. And then have to run up and spike the football, which would have put them in a position where they needed a field goal. How about you be smart with the football there? You don't like it? Throw it away. Third down, get another shot at the end zone. Don't check it down underneath and hope that your guy breaks a tackle and makes a play or is able to break a tackle and get out of bounds. Don't throw it underneath there. Be smarter than that, Ben. Okay? But you had opportunities after that botched call by the NFL. And look, they're going to tell you that that was the right call. I don't want to hear that shit. I simply don't care to hear that. Right? Now, they had opportunities. Don't throw a pick at the end. And this is one of the things that people can't stand about Ben Roethlisberger. The culpability at the end. They asked him about taking spiking the ball, and he put it on the coaching staff. Well, I was going to spike it. They told me not to. That's fine. Whether you decided to do it on your own or you went rogue or they told you to do it, that's of no consequence. What you say after that, though, is what I care about. And as a quarterback, everything rests on your shoulders. Whether it's true or not, it's the public perception. You're a great quarterback. You can stomach that load. You can shoulder that burden. So after you make the statement that I was going to spike it, the sideline told me not to, don't talk to me about the interception as if it's their fault. You threw the football, okay? And number one, like Tony Romo said, I thought he made a very valid point, and I was saying the same thing. It's fades or nothing. You know how I always tell you with the nerfs or nothing commercial. It's nerf or nothing. It's fade or nothing. Either your dude is coming down, and we already seen Martavis Bryant come down with a ridiculous one-hand catch for a touchdown already. So in my mind, it's fade to Big Ten or it's nothing. It's really simple to me. I'm lining my best guy up because Antonio Brown's out. So my next best receiver, maybe Juju Smith-Schuster, but I don't know if I trust him in a jump ball situation. I trust Martavis Bryant in a jump ball situation. So my mindset is I'm lining up Martavis Bryant, and I know it was a scramble situation. You didn't really have time to process that. But I don't really care. Whoever's on the wide side of the field, I don't give a damn if it's Darius Hayward-Bay. I don't give a shit who it is. Whoever's on the wide side of the field, I'm throwing a fade to you. Either you're going to catch it, or no one's catching it, and we're kicking the field goal. But in no instance, in that situation, am I throwing a football over the middle of the field where there are 6 Patriots and 1 Steeler. That's not happening. That's not a good idea. For the very simple fact that what happened could happen, which is it gets tipped in the air and it gets picked up. It's outside, it's a fade, or it's nothing. But let's get back to the call that made all the rest of that stuff possible. The catch, no catch, touchdown, no touchdown by Jesse James. So you get the big play by Juju Smith-Schuster to put him a remarkable catch and run to set him up inside it's called inside the 10. Let's call it the 9-yard line. Everything's happening so quick. Steelers get down there, and everybody's kind of in helter-skelter mode. and it's the perfect play call. Jesse James sits down over the middle. Ben finds him. He catches it, secures the football. Knee hits the ground, and this is the problem I have with this play. F, surviving the ground. F that. I don't want to hear that bullshit. Surviving the ground. This is a technical term you created to make your bullshit sound legit. Surviving the ground. You want to survive the ground? Have that shit happen in the field of play. The minute his knee hits the ground, 1 knee, 2 feet. That's what I was told. Since I was growing up, John Madden told me is a young little tyke in the game. 1 knee equals 2 feet. Right? So the minute that man secures the football, which he had it, knee hits the ground, he hasn't been touched. The minute that football crosses that plane, I don't want to hear nothing else. It's touchdown. Okay? Now, in the field of play, he got to survive the ground. Okay? You can talk to me about surviving the ground and all that bullshit in between those thick white lines on all sides, out of bounds, and the 2 goal lines. You can talk me to death all day long about surviving the ground. When he crosses, is the minute that football crosses that plane, don't talk to me about surviving the ground when his knee already hit the ground and he's got the football and it's secure. Don't talk to me about it. It's a touchdown. The man caught the football. Knee hits the ground. Has not been touched. Extends football over goal line. Done. Dead. Touchdown. Don't talk to me about surviving the ground. Ridiculous. The NFL is getting ridiculous with these calls. They're getting too technical. The game was not meant to be called that technical. Okay? Now there was a butt catch in Carolina today. I saw some of everything that really pissed me off. It really showed me just how upset I'm becoming with how technical the NFL has become. Because at some point, you got to let these officials do their job. The game can't be so technical that when you go under the hood, you're looking to distort what the game was really meant to how it's really meant to be played. Instant replay wasn't put in to get every single thing right. That's not how the game, and I know that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. But it wasn't meant for every single play to be picked apart that you go under the hood to look at. It wasn't meant for that. It was meant to stop egregious calls from shaping and forming the outcome of a game. Not going back. That's a touchdown. If I ask 10 people out of 10 people, does that look like a touchdown to you? Every single one of those people are going to come back and say, yeah, that's a touchdown. It literally took Tony Romo 15 times to watch the replay to even know what they were looking at. Oh, the ball moved. It took him 15. You know why? Because he wasn't even thinking about that. You know why? Because that's not football. The ball moving ever so slightly after he crosses once the ball crosses the goal line, a football player is trained to think that that's a touchdown. Why? What? I shouldn't give a damn at that point. It'd be one thing if he was in the end zone when he caught the football. But he was in the field of play. Knee comes down. Extends. Touchdown. It's touchdown. I mean, really, what are we doing here? I saw a butt catch today that, for all intents and purposes, that wasn't a catch. It wasn't a touchdown, but replay says it's a catch. Okay, fine, whatever. I watched in that Green Bay game, late in that game. It was an obvious catch by Geronimo Allison and a forced fumble by James Bradbury and a recovery by the Panthers. Game's over. Panthers win, Packers lose. Why are you going under the hood and I know every turnover is under review. They were under that hood for 5 to 7 minutes on a play that could change the outcome of that. It's a fumble. Anybody watching can see. He caught the football, made a football move, took about 3 steps. It's a fumble. Don't go and tell me some cockamamie excuse about how he didn't control the football, didn't make a football. You're being too literal now. You're getting into fine details that are taking away from football being football. That was a touchdown. Don't talk to me about, well, that's the way the letter of the law, they executed it for perfection. That's the way the rule is set up. No! It's a touchdown. He caught the football. It did not move. His knee hit the ground in the field of play. He wasn't touched. He extends. Touchdown. I don't want to hear about surviving the ground. It's bullshit. Steelers were robbed. But that being said, you still had a chance. That was first down. That was not fourth. It's first down. You still had 3 downs to either score a touchdown or kick a field goal. And what you did after cost you that game. Not that play. That play, while it pissed everybody off, and to me was the wrong call, technically, which is what's pissing me off, is the technicality of the NFL now. That's what's really pissing me off. Because everything has become so technical. Down to the fibers on your jersey. Shit is stupid. It's not how football was meant to be played, nor called, nor officiated. It's the same thing with basketball. Instant replay wasn't put in basketball for guys to be called out of bounds late in games and them go and look at it. Referees have makeup calls. Now they take that out of their hands late in games. Oh, I just screwed them on the other end, so I'm going to give them this foot. Even though that ball I know was off of X player, I'm going to give it to the other team because I know I screwed them on the other end of the court. Now, last 2 minutes of the game, even if you want to have that makeup call because you know you effed up earlier, you can't do it because replay is going to show ball hit off a Y player and the ball goes to the other team. That's not what instant replay was set up for in basketball, but that's what it's become. Same thing in football. And it takes away from the game. And the Steelers should have won this game. That was bogus. But they still had a shot after. And what they did after that bogus call, that's on them. Nobody else. Let's get to this game, though. Man, was this a good game. Let's start quickly with the Patriots as they won this game. 27-24. I thought Brady was outstanding in the second half. Wet football, tough conditions, on the road. They were hitting Brady just like he got hit last week against the Dolphins. He wasn't comfortable for a lot of this game, but he persevered, and Gronk was masterful. I thought that connection showed exactly why the Patriots still have a shot. You know, Brandon Cooks made a big play at the beginning of the game, but when it's all said and done, remember the Patriots went 0 on third downs last week against the Dolphins on Monday night? That's not happening with Gronk, and you saw why in this game. He's a handful. He's a load to deal with. Sean Davis, had his hands full the entire afternoon. Zone coverage, man-to-man, doesn't matter. Gronk, he wins. He simply wins. And I thought he was masterful in the second half of this game. I actually thought the Patriots made a mistake in not running the football more. I thought that after watching what the Ravens did to the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, that was going to be a huge part of their game plan. And Deion Lewis, 13 carries, 61 yards, and a touch. He was having success. That's over 4 a pop. Hell, that might be close to 5 a pop, if my math serves me correct. 13 times 5, 15, carried a 1. That's 60. Yeah, he damn near was rushing for 5 a pop. So I thought they could have run it a lot more. Thought they should have run it. And with Rex Burkhead out, he got injured midway through the second, I believe, maybe early stage of the third. I thought that would mean more touches for Deion Lewis, and it didn't. They essentially said, all right, Brady, take us to the promised land. And that's not a bad guy to fall back on and say, hey, take us to the promised land. Tom TBE. It's Tom TBE for a reason. And he did it again. He did it again. Chipped away at that deficit and finally gave them the lead late. And the Steelers responded like champions do. But the Patriots got a break on what I thought was a bogus call. And again, it still was second down. They still had to defend the end zone for 2 more downs to force a field goal. And they did one better. They created a turnover. Great play by the corner to knock it away. Great play by Harmon to pick it off. And that's a gutty win on the road, man. Look, the Patriots defensively, I told you they're not a good defense. And I think if they don't win in the playoffs, their defense would be the death of them because you can slow down Tom Brady in this offense. I think you can. The right defense can. They don't want to. They want no parts of the reason why this was so important. The reason this game, the easiest path to the Super Bowl in the AFC is, and literally, this is the first year where I think it actually matters. Past years, to be honest with you, I don't give a shit. Number 1 seed, 2 seed, if I'm the Patriots, yeah, you want home field throughout, but I'm not afraid of anybody. Anybody can get it anywhere, anytime, don't care. This is the one year where I'm looking at the AFC playoffs sort of like the NBA playoffs. Like, I just want the path of least resistance. I don't want any part of Jacksonville nor Baltimore. And being the 2 seed means you have to get some Jacksonville if they take care of business in round 1. And I don't see anybody in the AFC going to Jacksonville in wild card weekend and winning. I just don't. Unless Jacksonville implodes on offense, turns it over, special teams, they turn it over, and they make a plethora of mistakes. With that defense, whoever gets in, whether it's Buffalo or it's Tennessee or it's Baltimore, I don't care who it is, gets that 6 seed. Someone's getting their ass chewed up by that Jacksonville Jaguars defense in the wild card weekend. And then somebody's got to look those boys square in their eyes in the divisional round and find a way to beat them. Now, they're going to lose on the Jaguars, but somebody's going to have to do that. Somebody's quarterback is going to have to take an ass thrashing. Somebody's running back is going to have to get pounded. Somebody's going to have to come out with a tough 19-13 win over those boys. The Patriots don't want no parts of that. None. Because the Patriots, the Steelers already know. Those boys came to our house, tore us a new asshole. Steelers already know. We really don't want those boys if we don't have to, but if we got to do them, we'll do them. Playoffs is different than the regular season. But the Patriots, they already know. They're like, you know what? We saw Tom tripping against Miami. It's 10 times worse versus Jacksonville. Nah, we don't want no parts of that. So it was big just from the standpoint of we don't want to deal with Jacksonville as the 2 seed. And had they lost that game, they would have been the 3 seed. So you would have had to go to Jacksonville the following week after winning in wild card weekend. So you would have had to play in the first weekend, and you still might. You're not out of the woods yet. One loss coupled with a Jacksonville Jaguars win and a Steelers win, and the Steelers aren't losing to the Texans on Christmas Day. And the Jaguars aren't losing. I don't know who they're playing. I don't care who they're playing next week. They're not losing. If the Patriots trip against the Bills, and all of a sudden the Bills are reinvigorated, they're rejuvenated. If they can somehow go to Foxborough and win, and the Patriots have lost at Foxborough 3 times this year, or twice this year. So they can lose at home. And the Bills, they know them. That's family business. They go from 1 seed to 3 seed. So they're not out of the woods yet. But this was big for the Patriots because they wanted no parts of Jacksonville. And now all they got to do is win out against 2 divisional opponents in Buffalo and the Jets, both at home, which I expect them to take care of. Get to 14 or 13-3. and they're going to avoid Jacksonville. And that's huge. It's huge. That's the difference between the Warriors having to play the Spurs before the Western Conference Finals and getting the Jazz. Okay? It's a big difference. When you get the Jazz and you can mop them versus a tough 7-game series versus the Spurs before having to play the Thunder or the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. Big difference. Or I could flip-flop that and say, big difference between playing the Thunder and having to go through a grueling 6-game series or a 7-game series before you get to the Rockets or the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. Man, I'd much rather play the Jazz. Much rather take the Jazz and beat them in 5 or sweep their ass. And that's essentially what this win does for the Patriots. It not only gives them home field advantage throughout if they can win their final 2 games, which will put that AFC Championship game, whomever it's against, which probably will be against these same Steelers, but it allows them to avoid Jacksonville until the last possible moment. You don't want to play Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. It's one or the other, not and. It's or. You avoided that. For Pittsburgh, now you got to beat both Jacksonville and New England, most likely, to get to the Super Bowl. That's tough. So, it's a big win. This defense in New England, not good. Over 100 yards for Le'Veon Bell. Been through the football. Without Antonio Brown, he threw the football with ease against this Patriots defense. I told you this Patriots defense isn't good. They're not good. And they're going to continue to give up points. And they better hope that come playoff time, they don't catch the wrong team at the wrong time because they can get dealt with. This is not the same Patriots team. I've already said that a number of times. This is not a Super Bowl caliber Patriots football team. They're vulnerable, but they're finding ways to win. That's the most important thing. But again, in the playoffs, all it takes is one. And again, there aren't any Clevelands. There aren't any Tennessee. Well, there may be a Tennessee in there. You won't get to see them. Okay? It's the creme de la creme, the best of the best. And so they could be in trouble come playoff time. But they got it done again in this game. The NFL gave them an assist. Again, that wasn't the reason they won. It's a big reason why they were able to get the win. But they were able to get the stop afterwards. That was huge. But if this game had went to overtime, I feel like the Steelers would have won. So there's that. But it doesn't matter. It didn't go to overtime. They got the win. And it was huge. It was massive. You go to the Steelers. And, boy, this one stings. This shit hurts. Big time. From a number of different levels. Number of different angles. This one stings. Because you go from having the number 1 seed basically wrapped up. 2-game cushion with 2 left. With the head-to-head, you got the number 1 seed. Only team you got to worry about now is Jacksonville. And you're going to keep them at bay because you're going to beat Houston and you're going to beat Cleveland if you need to. To now, you're fighting for your first round bye lives. You got to win out just to keep Jacksonville at bay. And then, to make matters worse, you can't run from them boys if they do what they're supposed to do in Wild Card Weekend, which is win. You can't run from them. So, and they've come to Pittsburgh already and tore your ass to shreds. Now, that was a different Pittsburgh team, different headspace. However, that's still in the back of your mind. And again, that's a young team. They don't know no better. They don't know that playoff football is, and that could be a gift and a curse. You can either not have experience and have that bite you in the ass, or you could not have experience and have that be to your benefit because you don't know no better. I'm looking at them young boys. They don't know no better. They like caged animals. They don't know that they're supposed to tense up and fold into play. They don't know no better. They just a bunch of crazed animals. Ready to unleash. They a pack of jaguars. Ready to chew some ass up. And you had a chance to avoid all of that. Let the Patriots deal with that shit. Let them handle that. Remember when Vince Young said, hey, let Curry handle them. I don't need no warm-up reps. Let Curry handle that. Oh, I don't need that. Let Curry handle that. I don't need to play Jacksonville. Let New England handle that shit. I'll take whoever's left. I'll gladly take the Chiefs again. I'll take my hand at them. Gladly. And that might actually be a bad matchup for New England, the Chiefs. But they can beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs aren't good on defense. I'd much rather deal with the Chiefs than the Jaguars. Any day. So that it hurts from that perspective as well. Now it's not over. Both of you are 11-3, and if they lose once, boom, you're right back to where you need to be if you win your games. So they're not out of the woods yet, but this one stings because you had a chance to wrap it up on your own. You controlled the outcome of your season. Now you don't in terms of home field throughout. You need help. But that being said, it's a psyche thing. It's a psyche thing. You needed to get this win versus New England for your psyche, for you just to be able to say, I know we can beat them. And maybe this game does that for you. Maybe this game shows you that in the long run. Maybe you say to yourself, man, we can beat these guys, man. We had them. We threw this game away. We had them. Maybe you still say that to yourself. But now you might have to find a way to beat them in Foxborough. It's different at home than on the road. House of Horrors, Foxborough has been for you. I still feel like you can beat these boys. I feel like this game for you showed you that you can beat them. Home, away, you don't give a damn. You can win. And again, you did all of this without arguably your best player. Not available for the vast majority of this game. That being said, you still lost. And there's something that resonates that says, shit, we can't beat this team. And I hope that that's not a message that lingers with this football team. I hope they take the message that I stated earlier that we know we can beat them. More so than the, man, it's just something about them. We just can't beat them. Either way, that's a tough one to stomach. Look at it from an offensive perspective. Ben was phenomenal. Juju Smith-Schuster with the big play late. Martavis Bryant, I thought, stepped up in this game, made some big plays. In the absence of Antonio Brown, you needed guys to step up. I thought everybody did. Ben stepped up. Bell stepped up. Bryant stepped up, filled in as a substitute killer B. The defense, albeit not great, did enough. They squandered a 9-point lead. You were up, They squandered, you were up 24-16. So you squandered an 8-point lead, excuse me. Then gave up a 2-point conversion. So that's disappointing. Absolutely, that's disappointing. But they played well enough for you to win this game. Because you know you're not going to hold New England down for the most part. They're going to get theirs. Brady, Gronk, that group, they're going to get theirs. But the most disappointing element was that you had a shot late to do what you've done over the last month and a half, which is win games late. You've been clutch this season. Colts game, Packers game, Bengals game, Ravens game. That's been your thing this year. That's your MO. You win close games. You find ways to win these types of games. The outcome swings in your favor somehow, some way. But against that team, that one team that you struggle with, you weren't able to get it done late in the game. That has to bother you. That has to stick with you a little bit. And that worries me. We'll see how it affects the Steelers. This is a hell of a football game. I thought they struggled to stop the run for the second consecutive week. That worries me. without Ryan Shazier, and he's not coming back, so don't look for him. It was nice to see him in the press box, and that's just great to see. End of discussion. Just love seeing that. And the pass defense, I thought, was a little bit better. You gave up the big ball to Cooks early that set up a touchdown, or I think that actually set up a field goal. Might have set up a touchdown. Either way, you gave it up to Gronkowski all second half long. That's a problem. But I thought you applied pressure on Brady for the most part in this game. You made him uncomfortable. You forced him into some mistakes. Well, one in particular, the pick by TJ Watt. And you gave yourself a chance. And you should have won this game. There are no moral victories in the National Football League. But if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm telling my team, we're going to see them again. We will see them again. And it don't matter where. Home, there, I don't care. We're going to beat them. That's the message. That's the message. We're going to take care of business these last 2 games of the season. Let the chips fall where they may. We're going to make sure we get that first round bye, though. Whether it's 2 seed, 1 seed, doesn't matter. We would prefer it to be the 1 seed, but we can't control that now. We threw that opportunity away today. But men, and you know Mike Tomlin is telling them that, but men, don't worry. We're going to take care of business. That's a good outfit over there. And we're going to see them again. And when we do, we're going to bust their ass. That's the message. And after this game, that should be the message. So we're going to see what happens. But for New England, that's a huge win. A lot of people tried to downplay this, me being one of them, about the ramifications for the Patriots versus the Steelers. The Patriots don't need to win this game. They're the Patriots. They can go to Pittsburgh and win. They don't have to win this game. Bullshit. They needed this just as bad as Pittsburgh did. You know why? Because they didn't want any part of Jacksonville. They had a chance to fall out of the 2 seed and have to play in wild card weekend. And then you look at a situation where not only would you might have to go through the big 3 outside of themselves, but Baltimore, Jacksonville, and Pittsburgh. You just avoided that trifecta. Because if you lose this game, Jacksonville wins out, Pittsburgh wins out, and you end up with the 3rd seed, most likely you're playing Baltimore in wild card weekend. You want no parts of them. You're probably going to beat them, but they're going to make you work. Again, it's about the path of least resistance. They're going to make you work. Then you're going to go from that game where you're going to be battling and bruised against a physical Baltimore Ravens football team to another physical showdown on the road this time against Jacksonville. Coming off of a bye. That's not what you're looking to do. That's not conducive to making another trip back to the Super Bowl. So this was a bigger game to me for the Patriots than the Steelers. It's a bigger win for them. So this is huge. Let's get to y'all comments though. See what we got. Atlas says, this game was a travesty and would have gone down as one of the greatest games of all time if it wasn't for that bogus call. I don't know about greatest game of all time. We're prisoners of the moment sometimes. And so everything is the latest and greatest. It was a good game. It wasn't greatest of all time, but it was a really good game. One of the best games of this season. And that call at the end does tarnish it a bit, but it was still a good game. Alice says, this game is one that everyone will remember this year. I would put my money on it. He said, this is the game that everyone will remember this year. I will put my money on it. What the F? Everybody will remember it, but it won't be the only one. I think a lot of people will remember the Bengals game that was played on Monday night a couple of weeks ago. Just as much as they remember this one. you know. So, and the Steelers have been in a ton of close games this year. So, I don't know. With that controversial call, that might be the one that sticks out because of that call. Dre True Statement says, man, that was a hell of a game, but they got to make the darlings of the NFL look better than they really are. Really disappointing, that outcome of that game. But again, that was first down, man. I can't reiterate that enough. They didn't have to lose the game right there. They didn't have to throw a pick 2 plays later. They could have kicked a field goal and took the game to overtime. So they could have scored on the next play. They could have scored on third down. Ben's got to know better. Don't check it down with no timeouts inbounds. Don't do that. Don't do it. You're a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Know better. Know the situation. It's called situational awareness. And at this point in your career, as a future first ballot Hall of Famer, you're supposed to have that. You can't check it down there and hope that your guy breaks the tackle and gets into the end zone. That's not what this is. It's not that type of party. It's not that portion of the game for you to do that. It's in the end zone or it's out of the end zone. But it's not short of the end zone unless your guy is wide open and has a chance to get in the end zone. He was smothered on that play. There was no way he was getting away. Anyway, 3-11 Atlas says, as a minor aside, it's stuff like this that makes people dislike the Patriots. It seems like they're on the receiving end of rules luck. Reminds me so much of the Tuck rule. It's scary. People don't like the Patriots because they win. And whether you think they're cheating or they're not, people just don't like to see teams win all the time. And yes, they are the beneficiary of some good calls that go their way, bad calls that go their way. Seems like they cheat all the time. There's documented history of them bending the rules, pushing the boundaries, whatever the case may be. If you're not a Patriots fan, you hate the Patriots. It's really simple. There are Patriots fans, and then there's everybody else. And so either you are a fan of the Patriots or you can't stand them. And there may be a few fans out there that are indifferent. They don't care. But for the most part, everyone's tired of seeing the Patriots win. And it's games like this that perpetuate that even more. So I agree with you. Travis B says, complete BS. This has to be a priority number one in the offseason. The NFL's rule committee. I just don't know what they possibly could do. They've botched this catch rule 6 ways to Sunday. And I don't know if they're going to fix it. I think they don't see anything wrong with it. I think they feel like they've gotten it right, which they haven't. They've made it worse. But I don't know if they're going to change it. Dre True Statement says, I was highly disappointed in Ben with that bullshit explanation on the last play. We all know he called it because he had to communicate to the receiver in order to run that play. Just man up. Me too. I said, Ben, come on, bro. Just eat that one, man. At some point, you got to be a man and say, all right, I'm going to eat this one. And that's been one of my biggest issues with Ben throughout his career is he don't have, when they win, he loves to play the, oh my God, I'm so injured, but I toughed it out and I came back and I helped win my team to a victory. He loves playing that role, but the minute some shit goes down and the finger has to be pointed at him, he loves to deflect blame. Just eat it, bro. Eat it. I didn't like that explanation at all. Reby says, this game was so live, and I only seen it from half the time until the end, shaking my head. That was a touchdown to me, but the decisions on the play after and the interception was atrocious and tragic. Totally agree. And that's the thing, is that was a touchdown to me too, but that wasn't where the game was lost. You still had a chance to either win it or tie it, send it to overtime, and that interception was atrocious and tragic. Couldn't have said it better myself. Atlas says, how damaging do you think days like today are to the NFL's brand? Not very, because you know why? Because as much as we bitch and complain, you're still going to watch. I'm still going to watch. Steelers fans are still going to watch. Patriots fans are still going to watch. Everyone that's outraged is still going to watch. We bitch and complain and moan and grown about the NFL, but we still gonna watch. And that's why they get away with the shit that they get away with. Until you are willing to make a stand against, and this isn't stand worthy to me. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't, I'm not gonna watch anymore worthy. You know, for some people it is. For me, it's not. It's a part of the game. It's a part of the game that I hate, that I despise. I hate the fact that games come down to situations like that a lot of times, and the rules are so convoluted that we don't know the difference between a catch and not a catch. The fact that something that happens on just about every play, which is a catch, and there's a rule that makes it so hard to understand, that bothers me. It really does. Because that was a touchdown. To you, to me, to everybody watching, that was a touchdown. Until you sit there and you want to nitpick and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Oh, wait. Ball moved. Didn't survive the ground. Come on, what are we doing here? Like I said, had he been in the end zone and needed to come down with that, I get it. But he was in the field of play. His knee hit. That's 2 feet. Ball crosses the end zone. How is that any different from a guy catching a football 2 feet down, diving to extend, ball gets knocked out of his hand as he hits the ground? How's that any different? It's a touchdown. I guarantee you they call that a touchdown. Stupid. But it doesn't hurt the NFL. That's the thing. Nolan Pratt says, I'm glad you're not trying to play sides. This is the most ridiculous ending I've ever seen. I don't know how much Brady and Bill paid the refs for this one, but I guess it was worth it. I'm not trying to play sides. I don't ever play sides. That's not what I do here. That was a ridiculous call, but the Steelers still had a chance to win the game afterwards. Cloud says New England don't want to see Jacksonville or Baltimore, which is my point. The 3 seed means you might have to play both of those dudes, both of those teams, before potentially getting to Pittsburgh if they're able to navigate through their divisional round game. So, and they're still not out of the woods. 1 loss coupled with 2 Jacksonville wins and 2 Pittsburgh wins, and they're right back in that scenario where they'll have to see Baltimore and then potentially see Jacksonville afterwards. But they wanted no part of that. You're right, Cloud. He said their defenses will have their offense on lockdown for the most part. I don't know about Baltimore's defense. They don't get pressure on the quarterback. So I think Brady might be able to do what he needs to do against them. It'll just be a physical game, more physical than you would have against, say, the Chiefs or the Titans or whomever gets the other wild card. Vastly different type of game and styles that those teams play. Whereas with Baltimore, you know, they may not hit Brady, but you're going to be in a physical fight. And they're going to beat you up. They're going to muck up the game. And you're going to know you play the game. And you can avoid all of that by just being a number 1 or number 2 seed. And so that's why they had to win that game for sure. Reeby says Gronk was a beast, literally. Yeah, he was, man. It's crazy because he's had so many injuries and you start to think, man, is he going to diminish here shortly? And it's games like today that just remind you, like, this dude is still good, man. Still good. Darth Vader BI says, Steelers are overrated, Lou. I've been telling you they simply can't get it done when it matters. I disagree. I disagree. You weren't saying that when they beat the Ravens last week. I didn't hear you saying that. I didn't hear you saying that 2 weeks ago when they came back and beat Cincinnati. Wasn't hearing you saying that when they beat Green Bay the week before or 2 weeks prior to that against the Colts. And I know all those aren't good teams, but when it mattered, they found a way to get it done. I want to hear you saying that then. They're 11-3. Think about that for a second. They're 11-3. Reeby says, I thought once any part of the ball crosses the line, it was a touchdown, period. He tucked it in, securing it, then extended, shaking my head. Again, I feel the exact same way, Reeby. I couldn't have explained it any better than you just did. Again, football was meant to be played in a way that the person sitting there watching can say, okay, that's a touchdown, or that's a catch. It wasn't meant to be analyzed, overanalyzed, and then replayed, and then broken down to the most minute of details to where we're looking to see if a guy left butt cheek landed in bounds before the right butt cheek. I mean, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? That's not football. He either caught it or he didn't. It's either a touchdown or it's not. But we're doing too much right now. The league is doing too much. Reeby says, Ben should have never threw that ball. I just think that TD recall left Ben's head still ringing. I think so a little bit too. Because the next play when he checked it down, that's not a smart play. That's not a smart football play. Again, situational awareness tells you you can't afford to check it down with no timeouts in that situation. You just can't. The Soundwave 92 says, would you say that the rule will be looked back on as the equivalent of the Dez Bryant catch from a few years ago? It's similar to that. His knee hit the ground as well. And I thought it was a catch. And I thought that the Cowboys got screwed in that game as well. And he was doing a similar move, trying to extend the ball over the goal line. Bogus. It's bogus. It's garbage. The only difference with the Dez play is I believe he was being contacted. Whereas, and I'm not sure if he was being contacted. He might have been stumbling, trying to get over himself. Either way, I thought the Dez play was a catch and a touchdown, and then he got screwed. And I thought that this was a catch. And this to me, this was more of a catch than Dez was. Like, he clearly caught the football. His knee went down. That's 2 feet. He extended. That's touchdown. Done. Reeby says, anything but a pick. Ugh. Same thing with Derek Carr at the end of the game. Anything but that, bruh. Don't fumble the ball out of bounds. Don't turn it over. You got a chip shot field goal. Same thing I was saying a bit. Don't anything but a turnover here, bruh. You got a chippy. This is going to overtime. Don't do that. Anything but that. Soundwave says, I think many will have this rule discussed when the rule changes are brought up again at the next meeting. You think it will go the way of the Tuck rule in 2013? Hard to say. I think they feel like the rule was interpreted correctly. The league will back the remember, they talked to the league officials in making that call. So they think they're going to say the rule was interpreted correctly, and they probably don't feel like anything was wrong, which I feel like is a crying shame. It's a crock of crap. Ree says, laughing my ass off, yes, Jags are a pack of wolves that don't know better, LOL. Ready to tear some ass up. Crying over here, but damn, so true, though. That's why it's so funny and scary. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, the Jags are not to be played with, man. If you haven't watched the Jags defense, do yourself a favor, man. Those boys are not playing. Vincent Coe says, today's the saddest day. Vincent Coe, for some of you who don't know, he's a Seahawks fan. And yes, today's the saddest day because I think Vincent Coe, for the first time, realizes today was the beginning of the end of the Legion of Boom era in Seattle. Reeby says, that 70-yarder, I just knew the Steelers were going to win it. It was exciting and troublesome. I said the same thing. After Juju Smith-Schuster had that catch and run, it's over. I thought they were going to win the game. No doubt about it. And that turned out to not be the case. Let's see. I skipped a bunch of comments. Here we go. Vincent Coe says, Big Ben pulled a Russell Wilson. The Soundwave 92 says, I think this game proves football gods are actually Patriots fans. Vincent Coe says, speak about Jags defense. DeAndre Hopkins still did good against that defense with Yates. Is he better than Julio? I don't think he's better than Julio Jones. I can tell you this much. He's better in the red zone than Julio Jones. I'd love to see DeAndre Hopkins with a quarterback. I'd love to see him and Deshaun Watson just be together. That would be perfect. Give him a quarterback, and this guy is going to tear the league up. But the reason he's not better than Julio is because Julio still runs a 4.37 40, a sub 4.40. DeAndre Hopkins is not a speed demon, and he's not running by anybody. He can outleap you. He's got the strongest set of hands probably in the league. He's physical, but Julio is the complete package. Size, height, weight, speed specimen. DeAndre Hopkins has the height and the weight, but he's not the same speed demon that Julio is. So I still give the advantage to Julio Jones. Atlas says, help us out. Who do you think is better right now? Wentz or Cousins? Not even close. Carson Wentz, way better than Kirk Cousins. Cloud says, I don't want to bring family business in here, but please tell this dude Wentz is better than Kirk. I just did. It's not even close. Carson Wentz is a superstar. Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback. It's not the same. Kirk Cousins has never been in an MVP discussion a day in his life. Carson Wentz, without the injury, was winning the MVP trophy this season. It's not up for debate. And I love Kirk Cousins to death. It's not better than Carson Wentz at all. And with that said, we're going to get out of here, man. Spent an hour on one game, which is crazy, but this game was worth it. Patriots get the win. It was a huge one for them. Now, they can't throw this opportunity away. They were given a gift. In this season of giving, they were given a gift. And at 11-3 with this 27-24 win over the Steelers, they better win out. Go 13-3, remain the number 1 seed, and avoid the Jags and the Ravens. One loss, and at worst, they're getting Jacksonville. One loss, because the Steelers are going to win their final 2 games. One loss, and they're getting the Jaguars. 2 losses, and they could potentially get the Ravens and the Jags. Scary business if you're the Patriots. So take full advantage of this opportunity that's been given to you. Right now, you're on the path of least resistance back to the Super Bowl, and that's the way you would prefer to have it. For the Steelers, this one stings. And you've got to find a way to not let one loss turn into 2. Because Jacksonville, they're knocking on the door. They're right there. Don't you open that damn door. It's danger on the other side of that door. Beat the Texans on Monday, on Christmas Day. Beat the Browns. They should have their first win by then. So you shouldn't feel bad about making them 1-15 again. And go about your business with that 2 seed. If the Patriots don't fall. But slip up. Allow this game to turn into another loss. And all of a sudden, you're playing in wild card weekend. You're playing Baltimore again. And they should have beat you. And they can beat you. And then you got to play Jacksonville. Don't do it. Wouldn't be prudent. In any event, Patriots get the win in controversial fashion, 27-24. Both teams leave this game at 11-3. Hell of a football game. Hey, matter of fact, Deion Lewis did average. He had 67, not 61. So he did average 5 yards a pop. They should have ran it more. But nonetheless, they get the win. This is a scary, scary situation for the Steelers. Because everyone wants to avoid Jacksonville. And like I said, I think both of these teams can beat Jacksonville and will beat them. It's just a lot harder. If you can avoid them, let the other team have to deal with that nonsense. You don't want to have to be the team that has to take Jacksonville down. If it don't have to be you, then don't let it be you. But we'll see what happens. In any event, I'm your man, Louie T. It's going to do it for lockdown coverage here. Patriots, Steelers, epic ball game. Crazy finish. We'll be talking about it for years to come, and it may spark change with the rules. We'll see. But it's going to do it for me. I think it's going to do it for me tonight. I got a lot of games to break down tomorrow, though. I think I'm going to wake up when I first, instead of me watching all the rest of the games, I'm going to break down all the ones that I saw. 49ers and Titans, Redskins and Cardinals, Seahawks and Rams. I think I'm going to do that when I get up in the morning because I watched a ton of football today. So I think it'd be only fitting. And Panthers and Packers, watch that one too. So I think I'll break those ones down first, and then I'll come back, watch the rest of the games, break those down later. So in any event, thank you guys for joining me on this late night stream. I'll see you tomorrow. Lots to get to. There was a lot of close games, a lot of compelling football, and a few ass whoopings to boot. We'll cover it all here on Lockdown Coverage on the Louie T Network. Thanks once again for joining me. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your night.